You ever feel like you're playing a game where everyone else knows the rules except you? Like you're working twice as hard, being twice as honest, doing everything right, and still watching people who seem to do less somehow end up with more? Yeah, there's a reason for that. There's a manual of how power works in the real world. In The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene makes a brutal observation. The world isn't a fair playground. It's a giant scheming court. And in that court, honesty? It's not the virtue you were taught it was. It's a blunt instrument that bleeds you more than it protects you. Greene spent years studying the most powerful people in history. Not the ones who got lucky, the ones who made their own luck. Louis XIV didn't just wake up as the Sun King. He turned his morning routine into a spectacle that kept an entire court under his thumb. Talleyrand survived 4 different governments, not because he was loyal, but because he mastered something most people never figure out: strategic ambiguity. And here's what Greene found. None of these people earned power the way we're told to earn it. They manufactured it. They understood something that most of us are blind to. We call it God mode. It's not about being smarter or working harder. It's about perception. It's about controlling how people see you before they even know your name. Christopher Columbus had no business leading a fleet, but he convinced a queen otherwise. Houdini wasn't magic, he just made difficulty look impossible. Steve Jobs didn't invent the smartphone, he made you feel like you needed one. That's the difference. Today, you're going to learn the 7 laws of perception. Because here's the truth they don't want you to know. Reality isn't fixed, it's negotiable. And the person who controls the perception controls everything. The first step doesn't happen out there, it happens in your head. You must act like a king to be treated like one. Law 34. Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds arrogant. That sounds entitled. But hear me out. Because most people are waiting for permission. They're waiting for a boss to give them a fancy title. Waiting for someone with authority to tell them they matter. Waiting for society to hand them a golden ticket that says, okay, now you can feel important. And while they're waiting, life is passing them by. Because here's what nobody tells you. The way you carry yourself creates how people treat you. Not your resume, not your credentials, you. Let me tell you about Christopher Columbus. This guy, son of a cheese vendor, barely knew how to read a map, had 0 formal training in navigation, 0 experience leading expeditions. By all logical standards, he had no business asking for anything. But he walked into the court of the King of Portugal and later the Queen of Spain. And you know what he demanded? Not a job, not a chance. He demanded the title of Grand Admiral of the Ocean. He demanded 10% of all future commerce from the lands he'd discover. He asked for the moon, the stars, and a slice of eternity. And because he asked with such unshakable conviction, such absolute certainty in his own worth, they believed him. They gave him the fleet. That's what Greene calls the strategy of the crown. Here's how it works. If you shuffle into a room, eyes down, apologizing for taking up space, mumbling your words, the world will treat you exactly like that. like someone who doesn't belong, like a peasant hoping for scraps. But if you walk in like you already own the room, if you set your own price, state your value without flinching, and carry yourself with quiet, unshakable confidence, the world accepts it. Because people don't have time to verify your worth. They take the signal you give them. So ask yourself right now, what signal are you sending? Are you waiting for the crown, or are you already wearing it? Once you have the internal mindset, you need a shield. This is Law 5. So much depends on reputation. Now, once you've got the internal mindset locked in, you need to build something around yourself. Something most people never even think about. Your reputation, your legend. And I'm not talking about going viral or getting famous. I'm talking about something way more powerful than that. Because here's the thing, reputation isn't just what people think about you, it's a force field. It's invisible armor that does the fighting for you before you even show up. Build it right, you can win entire wars without throwing a single punch. Let me take you back to ancient China. There's this general, Zhuge Liang, brilliant strategist, maybe the most cunning military mind of his time, but on this particular day, he's got a problem. He's sitting in a small town with barely a handful of soldiers, and coming toward him, a massive enemy army, thousands of troops, led by General Sima Yi, who's ruthless, experienced, and has every advantage. Most people in that situation, they'd panic, they'd run, they'd surrender. But Zhuge Liang did none of that. He walked up to the city wall, sat down, lit some incense, and just started playing his lute. Calm as a summer breeze, like he didn't have a care in the world. Now picture this from the enemy's perspective. Sima Yi rides up, sees the city gates wide open, no defenses, and there's Zhuge Liang, just sitting there on the wall, completely exposed, playing music like he's at a garden party. And Sima Yi freezes, because he knows Zhuge Liang. He knows this man's reputation, knows he's famous for setting elaborate traps, for outsmarting entire armies with nothing but psychology and strategy. So Sima Yi looks at this scene and thinks, this is too easy. This has to be a trap. And you know what he does? He orders his entire army to turn around. They retreat. They flee from a nearly empty city because one man's reputation was so powerful, it became a weapon. Liang didn't fire a single arrow. He won with perception alone. Now that's what we're building here. Your reputation isn't just a nice to have, it's the shield that protects you when you're vulnerable. It's the sword that cuts before you even enter the room. And here's the secret. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be known for one thing, one sterling quality that people associate with your name. Are you the most reliable person they know? The most creative? The person who always delivers? The one who never breaks under pressure? If you are known for honesty, you can deceive people easily. If you are known for cunning, people will fear you even when you are weak. Pick one, build it deliberately, and then guard it like your life depends on it. Because in this game, it does. Because once your reputation precedes you, you're not just playing the game anymore. You're playing a completely different game that most people can't even see. You have the mindset. You have the reputation. Now you need to control the flow of information. Law 4. Always say less than necessary. Alright, now we're getting into something that's going to feel counterintuitive, especially in a world that tells you to speak up, share your opinion, post constantly, always have something to say. But here's the truth. The more you say, the more common you appear, and the higher the risk that you'll say something foolish that ruins everything you've built. powerful people, they impress and intimidate by saying less. Let me show you what I mean. Louis XIV, the Sun King. This man ran all of France like a theater production. And one of his most powerful tools wasn't his armies or his wealth. It was his silence. Picture this. You're a courtier in Versailles. You've spent days preparing your speech. You've rehearsed every word, every gesture. You finally get your audience with the king. Your heart is pounding. This is your moment. You pour your heart out. You make your case. You give him everything you've got. And Louis, he just looks at you, calm, unmoved. And then he says 3 words, "I shall see." That's it. Then he turns and walks away. And you're left standing there, completely unbalanced. What does that mean? Is he considering it? Is he dismissing you? Is he angry? Pleased? You have no idea. And that uncertainty, it eats you for days, weeks even. That's the power of silence. When you don't reveal your thoughts, people project their own fears onto you. They fill in the blanks with whatever scares them most. Now let's bring this to your life, because you've seen this, even if you didn't realize it. Think about dating. You know that person who texts back immediately, who over-explains everything, who tells you their entire life story in the first conversation? There's no mystery there, nothing to wonder about. But the person who takes their time to respond, who answers with just enough to intrigue you but not enough to satisfy you completely, who knows when to end the conversation while you still want more, they live in your head rent-free. That's not game playing. That's understanding how human psychology actually works. Here is what happens when you become silent. You become a blank screen. And humans, we can't stand blank screens. We need to fill them with something. So people start projecting. They assume you're thinking something profound when you might literally just be thinking about what to have for lunch. They assume you're displeased when you're actually just focused. They assume you're calculating your next move when you're just being present. And in that assumption, they give you power. Look at the most magnetic people on social media. They're not the ones posting 15 times a day about every thought that crosses their mind. They're the ones who post rarely, but when they do, it lands. Elon Musk tweets cryptic words that send entire markets into chaos. Why? Because scarcity creates value, and silence creates scarcity. Now, I'm not saying become a mute. I'm saying be intentional with your words. Before you speak, ask yourself, does this add value, or am I just filling space? In conversations, stop over-explaining yourself. State what you mean clearly, then let it breathe. The person who feels the need to fill every silence is the person who loses power in that moment. When someone asks for your opinion on something that doesn't matter, sometimes the most powerful response is, "I haven't decided yet." Not because you're playing games, but because you're not giving away your power for free. Remember, mystery creates fascination, and fascination creates influence. So here's your challenge. For the next week, practice strategic silence. Cut your words in half. Let pauses sit. Watch what happens when you stop being so eager to fill the void. You'll be shocked at how much more seriously people take you. Now that you are speaking less, you must also show less. Specifically, show less sweat. Law 30. Make your accomplishments seem effortless. There's an Italian concept called sprezzatura. It means the art of making the difficult look easy. And it's one of the most powerful perception tools you can master. Let me take you back to Harry Houdini. This man practiced for hours, every single day. He even trained himself to swallow and regurgitate a key by practicing with a potato in his throat for months. Months with a potato in his throat. But when he stepped on that stage, he smiled. He looked relaxed. He made it look like he was born to do this. If he had walked on stage and said, "By the way, I practiced this with a potato for 6 months," the magic would have died instantly. He would have gone from supernatural to just a guy who worked really hard. And here's the thing, we're living in an era that tells you to do the exact opposite. Show your grind, post your 4 a.m. wake up, document the journey. But when you constantly reveal the labor behind your success, you don't become inspiring, you become human. Just another person grinding like everyone else. Here's what happens when you reveal all your effort. People start seeing the puppet strings. And once they see those strings, you're no longer operating in the realm of awe. Oh, they worked so hard for that. That's not the response you want. You want, how did they make that look so easy? Think about the last time you saw someone absolutely crush a presentation. Afterward, they say, "Wow, I was so nervous. I practiced that 50 times. I barely slept." Or they just smile and say, "Thanks, glad it resonated." Which person seems like they belong at the next level? It's not even close. Now, I'm not saying don't work hard. Houdini wouldn't have been Houdini without those hours of practice. What I'm saying is hide that work from the audience. Practice in private. Struggle in private. And then, when you step into the public eye, show only the result. Only the magic. Because when people can't see the effort, they assume it's talent. They assume you're just different. And once they believe that, you're not competing with other people anymore. You're in a category of one. Just win. And when people ask how you did it, smile and say, "I don't know, it just kind of came together." Let them wonder. Let them assume you're just built different. Because in their minds, you will be. You are regal, reputable, silent, and effortless. But none of that matters if no one sees you. Law 6. Court attention at all costs. What is unseen counts for nothing. You can be the most talented, the most deserving person in the room, but if nobody's looking at you, you might as well not exist. P.T. Barnum understood something most people are terrified to accept. Notoriety is a form of power. When people ignored his museum, he didn't wait for his work to speak for itself. He hired a man to lay bricks in a bizarre pattern, a circle leading directly to his venue. People stopped, confused, curious. What is this? Where does it go? And they'd follow it straight to his door. He wrote anonymous letters attacking his own shows just to stay in the papers. Negative press, positive press, didn't matter. It is better to be slandered than ignored. Now, I know what you're thinking, but I don't want to be controversial. I just want to do good work. In a world drowning in noise, good work that nobody sees might as well not exist. You must be a magnet. Let's bring this to the modern world. Think about social media. Who gets the attention? It's not the person posting safe, polished content that nobody can argue with. That person gets scrolled past in 0.3 seconds. Look at Andrew Tate. Whether you love him or hate him, and plenty of people fall into both camps, you can't deny he commanded attention. He was everywhere. Why? Because he said things that made people react, violently sometimes, but react nonetheless. Was it calculated? Absolutely. Did it work? He went from relative obscurity to one of the most Googled people on the planet.
He's the most famous man you probably never heard of, with billions of views online. At one point this year, more people were searching Google for Kardashian.
Compare that to the thousands of talented people who play it safe, who never make waves, who never do anything controversial. Where are they? Can you name 5 of them right now? Probably not. Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying be a jerk. I'm not saying manufacture fake controversy. What I'm saying is, you need to make yourself impossible to ignore. In a world of beige, you must be the splash of red. In your career, propose something bold that makes leadership uncomfortable but intrigued. Even if they say no, they'll remember you. On social media, stop posting safe, vanilla content. Take a stance. Make people think, wait, really? In your personal brand, find one thing that's slightly unexpected, slightly edgy. Lean into it hard. Here's the truth. The world doesn't reward the best. It rewards the most visible. And if you're not willing to step into the spotlight, even when it's uncomfortable, even when some people won't like it, you're choosing invisibility. And invisibility is death in this game. So be bold, be memorable, be the person people talk about. Because the only thing worse than being criticized is being forgotten.
Palm Treo, Nokia E62, the usual suspects.
How do you court attention without people seeing your deceptions? Law 37. Create compelling spectacles. Here's what you need to understand. Visuals short-circuit the brain. Words make people think. They engage the logical mind. They give people time to analyze, to question, to resist. But images? Images strike directly at the emotions. Let me take you back to 18th century Berlin. There's this guy called the Moon Doctor. People are lining up around the block to see him. Why? Because he's curing them of their ailments, conditions that regular doctors couldn't touch. His treatment? He would expose them to moonlight. That's it. No medicine, no procedures, just moonlight. But here's the thing, he didn't just point at the moon through a window. He created a spectacle. The setting was theatrical, the lighting was perfect, the symbol of the moon was everywhere. And people left believing they were healed. Many of them were healed. He understood something fundamental. The spectacle is the medicine. Now let's bring this to your world. Think about Apple. When Steve Jobs launched the iPhone, he didn't show you specs. He created an experience. The stage was bare, black background, minimalist. Then he'd reach into his pocket, this casual gesture, and pull out a device that looked like it came from the future. They weren't selling you a phone. They were selling you membership in a tribe, a symbol of who you were. Compare that to every other tech company showing PowerPoints with bullet points. Who won? Here's what most people miss. Symbols are a language, and most of the world is illiterate in this language. But once you learn to speak it, you can influence people without saying a word. Think about what your visuals are saying about you right now. Your social media aesthetic, the way you dress, the background in your video calls, all of these are sending signals. Are you controlling those signals or letting them happen by accident? Here's the truth nobody wants to admit. People judge books by their covers every single time. You can fight that reality, or you can use it. The Moon Doctor understood this, Steve Jobs understood this, every luxury brand understands this. When are you going to start using it? Because when you master visual language, you don't have to convince people of your value anymore. They see it before you open your mouth. In a world where everyone is fighting for attention, the people who win understand. The spectacle isn't a distraction from the substance. The spectacle is the substance. Finally, you must protect this persona you have built. You cannot be seen making mistakes or doing ugly things. Law 26. Keep your hands clean. Here's the reality. You must seem like a paragon of civility. But power involves dirty work. Sometimes you need to be the bad guy. But here's the paradox. If you're seen as the bad guy, you lose power. People stop trusting you. They work against you. So how do you reconcile this? You use scapegoats and intermediaries. Let me tell you about Cesare Borgia. He needed to pacify a completely lawless region in Italy. So what did he do? He hired Ramiro d'Ajorco, a cruel, ruthless man, to do the dirty work. Ramiro executed criminals, established order through terror, did all the things that needed to be done, but that nobody wanted to admit needed to be done. The region became peaceful, but the people hated Ramiro. So Borgia made a calculation. Once the job was done, he had Ramiro executed and displayed his body in the town square. The message was clear. I have delivered you from chaos and from the cruel man who brought order. Borgia got all the credit for the peace. Ramiro got all the blame for the cruelty. Borgia's hands stayed clean. Now, let me show you how this plays out in modern life every single day. A company needs to lay off hundreds of people. Does the CEO do it personally? So, almost never. They hire a consulting firm. The consultants come in, do the analysis, and recommend the cuts. They become the face of the layoffs. Then the CEO steps in. I know this was painful, but now we're positioned for growth. Let's move forward together. The CEO keeps their reputation. The consultants take the heat. Same principle as Borgia. Here's something more relatable. You're managing a team. One person is underperforming and needs to be let go. If you fire them directly, you become the villain. Other team members might see you as heartless. But what if you involve HR? You document everything. You follow the formal process. HR enforces policy. Suddenly, you're not the bad guy. The system is. Your hands stay clean. Here's the principle. Never do the dirty work yourself when you can have someone else do it. When you need to deliver bad news, have a subordinate do it. When you need to negotiate aggressively, use an agent. When you need to enforce unpopular policies, let company policy be the villain. Your reputation is your most valuable asset, and reputations are fragile. One moment of being seen as cruel or heartless can undo years of goodwill. So you protect it. You keep your hands clean. Because at the end of the day, power isn't just about what you can do. It's about what you're seen doing. And the most powerful people are the ones who get everything done while making it look like they never lifted a finger. So, there you have it. 7 laws of perception and reputation, pulled directly from Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power. This is the actual playbook that the most powerful figures in history have used to engineer their status and command respect without force. Let me recap. Law 34. Be royal in your own fashion. Act like a king to be treated like one. The crown isn't given, it's claimed. Law 5. So much depends on reputation. It's your invisible force field. Build it deliberately. Protect it ruthlessly. Law 4. Always say less than necessary. Mystery is magnetic. Silence is power. Law 30. Make your accomplishments seem effortless. Hide the work, show only the magic. Law 6. Court attention at all costs. In a world of noise, invisibility is death. Law 37. Create compelling spectacles. The spectacle isn't separate from the substance. It is the substance. Law 26. Keep your hands clean. Let others take the blame while you reap the rewards. This is Greene's strategy of perception and reputation management. This is your God mode protocol. Now, let me be clear. This isn't about being fake. This is about control. The game is this. Society will try to assign you a role, background character, supporting cast. These 7 laws are about refusing that role, about engineering your own perception before people even know your name. Because here's what nobody tells you. The people who seem to have it all figured out, they're not smarter than you. They're not more talented. They just understand that reputation and perception aren't accidents. They're strategies. And now, so do you. So, what are you gonna do with this knowledge? Are you gonna step into God mode? The world is waiting for you to make your move. If you want to go deeper, if you want to understand more laws from Robert Greene's masterwork, subscribe. This was just 7 laws. There are 41 more waiting. And trust me, you don't want to miss what comes next.